Entering the code in Gradius, Hashimoto was able to use a full suite of the ship power-ups, enabling him to complete the game and finish testing. The twist of fate, Hashimoto meant to remove the code from the game before it was sold.
Angel Knots. Salutations to the nations. What's good, Angel Knots? It's your boy, Young Sinai. So today we're going to be looking at the story of the Konami Code, okay? Yo, make sure that you go ahead and subscribe so then you can be a part of the community. And right now we having a vote on who is the best ninja, Ninja Gaiden or Shinobi. All right, let me know what you think. I think Ninja Gaiden, but I didn't vote because I ain't trying to throw it off. You know what I'm saying? But right now, Ninja Gaiden's in the lead. You know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and check this out.
Sometimes with select in it. This code, the Konami Code is, without a doubt, the most well-known cheat code in the world. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start, sometimes with select in it. This code and its history reveal some pretty funny truths about developers and early video game development. In an era before the internet, it's also incredibly impressive that the Konami Code has managed to hang around as long as it has. The code is probably most associated with one of Konami's most well-known games, Contra.
Yo, you want to know something low key? I straight entered that mug into a kid's Fisher Price toy at the store. It was like a video game, handheld, and it worked. I mean, when I say it worked, it like made a sound effect. Matter of fact, my kid has a joystick. I don't know if the batteries work or not, but we're about to test this right now. Hold up. All right. I got it. Okay, so let's check it out. Let's check it out. We ain't finna learn. All right, check it out. Let's see. You heard that mother said you. He said, "Do do do, you win." Even the Fisher Price got the Konami code, yo. That's crazy. All right, let's keep it rolling.
In that game, use of the code will grant 30 lives. However, that's not where the code started. This story starts with developer Kazuhisa Hashimoto, a Japanese computer programmer and game developer. In 1981, Hashimoto graduated college and joined about 30 or so other developers working for Konami. At the time, Konami was basically involved in the creation of slot machines, but they were just starting to expand and
That's kind of like Sega. Like Sega, they got their start with I believe slot machines.
export games into the United States. Later that year, Konami began to find arcade success, producing games like Scramble, Frogger, and Super Contra. By 1984, Konami began to develop games for the Famicom, otherwise known as the Nintendo Entertainment System. Indeed, Konami would become the first third-party developer to sign a development contract with Nintendo. According to Hashimoto, experienced programmers were left to work on the coin-op games, still the bread and butter of Konami.
Hey, have y'all ever played this game right here? That's a game that well, I don't know if this is the exact one. It might be, but there's a track and field game on the NES where you like plug in this mat, like imagine like kind of like a Dance Revolution mat, but it's got like it has like maybe an A and a B or something. But anyways, you get on there and you and on your feet, you know what I mean? You like stomp down as fast as you can. We had this in elementary school, no, in middle school in our gym class. It was heck of fun.
While newer programmers were put into game design for Nintendo. That included Hashimoto. Hashimoto's first game for the Nintendo was Track and Field, which he says took 6 months with 2 people. Hashimoto continued to work on Nintendo games, working next on Gradius, which took 18 months to develop. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Gradius is a side-scrolling space shooter game. You shoot bad guys and earn power-ups to make your Vic Viper starship stronger. For the uninitiated, or even for the experienced, the game is tough. And that was certainly the case for Hashimoto. Remember, Nintendo was still brand new. It's not like today's programmers who basically grew up with games and had plenty of chances to play. The newness of the medium meant something unimaginable to today's gamers. Programmers weren't always gamers, and they weren't even good at the games that they created. This led to a second problem. Any game of any repute has to have bug testing. In bug testing, a programmer or player has to play the game, including under various scenarios and across the length of the game, under different circumstances. From there, the tester has to find issues or programming errors, then report them to get them fixed. Today, most larger firms outsource their bug testing.
Hey, Legend of the Mystical Ninja, man, that mug a classic.
They send builds of games, have them played, and log any errors. However, that's with modern technology. Prior to this, programmers themselves had to play games for bugs. This created issues for Hashimoto. With no staff and no publicly available playtesters, he had to play the game himself. Except he sucked at it. This led to the Konami Code. Gradius didn't have passwords, so Hashimoto had to put in a code that was easy for him to remember. Thus, the easy to remember and rather rhythmic up, up, down, down combination. Entering the code in Gradius, Hashimoto was able to use a full suite of the ship power-ups, enabling him to complete the game and finish testing. The twist of fate? Hashimoto meant to remove the code from the game before it was sold. Konami manufactured about 1 million units, although the game ultimately sold somewhere between 500,000 and 600,000 units. Slight issue. Hashimoto never removed the code. From there, it took on a life of its own. It became popular among other Konami developers who used it in their own games for playtesting. At some point, the code became public knowledge. Some commenters have speculated that the code was released by Konami themselves. That seems unlikely, but what is certain is that the code was released in the first issue of Nintendo Power magazine in reference to its most famous use.
Oh, they was snitching.
Contra. Using the code on the title screen gave players in this very difficult game 30 lives, thus making it much, much easier to complete. As a result, in many cases, the code was actually referred to as the Contra code or the 30 life code. Indeed, Contra would be its most famous use, but not its only one. Numerous other Konami games would use the code. For example, the Castlevania series, one of Konami's most famous and successful franchises, uses the code repeatedly, usually to unlock otherwise difficult to obtain items. For example, in Castlevania Bloodlines, the code enables users to play on expert mode. In the PlayStation version of Chronicles, it allows for the adjustment of otherwise hidden options. In Lords of Shadow, it allows players access to a cheat menu. In Legacy of Darkness, it enables all characters, outfits, and a...
I feel like video game codes is a lost art. Like I remember back playing Madden, you could put in a code to have all the characters wear Raiden hats, and Grand Theft Auto, all those crazy codes. I don't know if they still use codes in that or not. I don't play Grand Theft Auto these days, but man, codes, it just make games more fun.
harder difficulty mode. Of course, even Konami seemed to get a little sick of the code. For example, in Gradius 3, you can enter the code while paused. Unpause the game, and you blow up. Try the
Wow.
code in Kid Dracula, and you get the message, sorry, nothing this time. Also worth noting, the code's use isn't always the same.
They was trolling people there.
For example, take Contra 4 on the Nintendo DS. The code is altered where you actually have to tap the touchscreen at points, thus enabling you to get 30 lives. Many other versions of the code have slightly different alterations, tweaks, or use of the select and or start button. Even in the code's early days, it spawned uses in non-Konami games. At first, those games, like the original code itself, use the Konami code seriously. For example, in the Tengen version of Tetris, you could use the code and allow players to generate a long bar. However, this
You can use the Konami code in Tetris? What the heck?
code could only be used once per game, and you didn't use the up arrows as part of the code. The code still thrives today, and in more forms. In the multiplayer horror game Dead by Daylight, use of this code spawns the Vic Viper charm. The Vic Viper, of course, is the spaceship that you fly in the Gradius series.
Let me know in the comments. What's your favorite video game code of all time? Can't include the Konami code, can't include Grand Theft Auto. Let me know something like really obscure.
If you use it in Silent Hill 3, your outfit changes. Well, you lose your shirt and pants, which is weird. In the original Mario Party, the code gives you access to a debugging menu. In Anno 1800, a city building real-time strategy game, the code spawns hundreds of flying animals. Why not? I can't get a complete list of the games that use the code, but it's clear that it extends well into the dozens, if not the hundreds. Which, if you think about it, is insane. This is a code that began being used in 1986, almost 40 years ago, and in an age before the internet.
And for a guy who just was bad at games and didn't feel like having to play through all the levels and stuff, something that was, I'm not gonna say it was an accident, but something that was just like something personal for him ended up being like a revolution. I feel like I've seen this on t-shirts.
Yet, somehow, It developed a staying power and a repetition to make it one of video games' first memes. And then, well, the code ethos just kept building, and uses outside of video games began to appear. Entering it on a Discord 404 error page unlocks a game of Snake. Entering it on Bank of Canada's website for a commemorative $10 bill will result in the playing of the Canadian national anthem and $10 bills falling from the top of the screen.
That's crazy.
Speaking the code to Google Assistant will cause one of two responses. The assistant will either say cheat code enabled, or you destroy the vile red falcon and save the universe. Consider yourself a hero. That's a reference to Contra. Alexa takes a similar tact. She says one of a few phrases: ding, 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 ding. Great job. You've secured all the power ups. Sorry, so close. No power ups for you. Or Super Alexa mode activated. Starting reactors online. Enabling advanced systems online. Raising dongers. Error. Dongers missing. Abort. What are. Never mind. Siri, too, does her best. She says cheater, nerd, or I'm getting dizzy. Entering the code on Facebook once generated a lens flare, although that feature seems to have been removed. Heck, even children's toys got in on the code.
Hey, I promise I have not seen this yet. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone to the trouble trying to find this thing. But yeah, it's the exact same thing.
Entering it on certain Fisher Price toys triggered a special sequence of light and sound. The code even became popular within the annals of pop culture. Unsurprisingly, it earned a place in the video game movie Wreck-It Ralph, where King Candy uses the code to access a portion of the game code for Sugar Rush. The Deftones also have an instrumental track entitled UUDDLRLRAB Select Start. Now, unfortunately, while I wish the story had a happier ending, it doesn't. Kazuhisa Hashimoto died in February 2020.
Oh
His death
no.
was reported via tweet by Konami. He was only 61 years old. Yuji Takanouchi, a friend of Hashimoto's, said in a tweet, quote, "We pray for the souls. As someone who got in the same boat and shared a little time, the obituary was a bit painful. Please keep making games in heaven. Thank you very much."
Wow.
Hashimoto always seemed proud of his role in video game history, freely giving interviews on the code that he helped to create and ingrain into a part of pop culture. It's to his credit that this invention, one born of necessity, would take on a life of its own and become something deeply endearing to multiple generations of video game.
So was this the first code of all gaming history? I believe so, right? I believe so. Did I just watch the whole video and completely miss the point? It wouldn't be the first time. Let me know in the comments. So is this the first code?
Fans. Hashimoto would program video games for the rest of his life, working on a variety of games, including Goonies, The Legend of the Mystical Ninja, and the International Soccer Superstar series. His legacy can be found in his games and in the code he created for us all. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. If you enjoyed this video, and I hope.
Yeah, that was a good video. That was by Almost Something. Yeah, that was really good. That's what's up. That's what's up. Let me know in the comments what is your favorite code of all time. Also, let me know, does the Konami Code work on Contra Hardcore? That's my favorite Contra game of all time. So let me know if you know. But yeah, make sure that you subscribe. You have a chance to win a Trim UI brick if you subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subs. You know what I'm saying? All of the contest rules are in the community tab. Also, you can make sure that you vote on who's the greatest who's the greatest ninja. Is it Ninja Gaiden or Shinobi? All right, y'all. Peace. I appreciate y'all who's watching. God bless. Salutations to the nations. Peace.
Angel Knot.